Good morning. We start with Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga. From the heart of the Savior of 100 deities of Tushita, on a peak of cloud resembling a clump of extremely white fresh curd, King of Dharma, omniscient Losandrapa, please come here together with your sons. In the sky before me on a lion throne, lotus and moon, my perfect pure Guru smiles with delight. Supreme field of merit for my mind of faith, please abide for 100 yawns to spread the teachings. Your holy mind has the intelligence that understands the full extent of object to be known. Your holy speech with its excellent explanations is an ear ornament for those of good fortune. Your holy body is radiantly beautiful with glory renowned. To you who are meaningful to see, hear, and remember, I prostrate. Please in drinking water, various flowers, fragrant incense, lice, scented waters, and so forth. Oceans of cloud like offerings, both actually arranged and mentally emanated. I offer to you the supreme field of merit. Whatever non-virtue of body, speech, and mind, especially those opposite to the three vows that I have collected from beginningless time, I confess each and every one with fervent regret from my heart. You strove for much learning and practice in this degenerate age, and made your freedoms and richnesses meaningful by abandoning the 8 worldly concerns. Savior, we sincerely rejoice in your extensive deeds. Perfect, pure, holy gurus from the billowing clouds of wisdom and compassion in the sky of Dharmakaya, please let fall a rain of profound and extensive Dharma upon the receptacle of those to be subdued exactly as they need. May whatever virtue I have collected benefit the teachings and all transmigratory beings, and in particular may it cause the essence of perfect pure Losandrapa's teachings to shine forever. Sajibuki Chujimeto Tramrirablinshi Nidegyempadi Sangye Jindu Mite Uwa Hidrokunamda Shila Chupasho. By the merits of having over this mandala to Lama Tsongkhapa and his 2 sons, may I, my family members, and all sentient beings be able to meet, practice, and actualize the teachings of the victorious one, Losandrapa, who had a morality of eminently pure way of life, was courageous and extensive conduct of the sons of the victorious ones, and accomplished the yoga of 2 stages, of supreme bliss and emptiness. Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayami. By the force of having fervently requested in this way, hollow beams of white light are emitted from the hearts of the perfect pure Father and Sons, and combining into one into my crown. White nectar, the color of milk, flows from the opening of tube of white light, cleansing all my sicknesses, spirit harms, negative karmas, obscurations, and their imprints without exception. My body becomes as pure and clear as crystal. Now we recite 5-line Miktsema 3 times together. Migme tsewe tenchen chen rezik, drime gempe wampo champelya, dupo malu jonze sawenda, kanche kepe tsungen tsongkapa, losan drape shabla sowade. Migme tsewe tenchen chen rezik, drime gempe wampo champelya, dupo malu jonze sawenda, kanche kepe tsungen tsongkapa, Losandra Shabla Sowade. Migme Tsewe Tenchen Chen Rezi. Drime Gempe Wampo Jampelya. Dupo Malu Jonze Sawenda. Ganche Gepe Tsungen Tsongkapa. Losandra Shabla Sowade. And a prayer for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Peerless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, victorious Losang father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now, holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings. Through explanation and practice, you wore the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable, venerable Guru, to you I make request. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and for other living beings, you suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss! Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels and the great waves of bodhicitta of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of a reincarnation swiftly beam in a glory for fortunate disciples.
Sangye chedan soji chonum la chanchu pardu dan kyapsun che dagi chushi yeban de dag drolam benje sangye drubar sho Sangye chedan soji chonum la chanchu pardu dan kyapsun dagi chushi yeban de dag drolam benje sangye drubar sho Sangye chedan tsojin chonum la chanchu pardu dame kyapsun dagi chushe jebon dadak drolam penshe sangyin drupara sho kangi tuzinyi zuni tawa tamche pambi chere tambi chun tenze kodam dela chanze lo Mamo laye ke dan lo dan no je ki chubon da mi ke nam dan ro kunji chanam chutsum tamche ke Good morning, everyone. Shobodele. Looks dead in this, right? Just the jig the chick. Send like a shag the touch and Chick Jurda. Je Tandu Namju Manchage, Tonan Chedesati, Gom Jagoras, Gom Layata, Tonan Shu Chigoras,
So these days, many people have an interest in meditation, or there's a widespread interest in meditation these days.
Yeah,
so there really does seem to be this widespread interest in meditation these days.
the Tembanisha sage, Tembanisha gomjuras, Tembanisha gom di tolayang, and in Wotin do Shina Chicken Canansolaya, Kayola Pendo Yongs Yagi, Reoyoros.
Within this widespread interest in meditation, a type of meditation that's very popular is that associated with the 4 close placements of mindfulness. So I'll briefly give an overview of that this morning, and hopefully this will be of interest to you.
Cananzo Soso Temban Tongudes. And the
Did you?
Telsana Soso Temban Tongudes, Tembadi call you Kari Medo Dindigi Samsu Mes.
So are you aware of your mindfulness? Do you know where it is? Do you have an idea of what is meant by mindfulness?
There is the Temba never shas the Pesilla never shas the Temba said the Temba said the Karasedi and Yulchik when a shogi Shokjan Tonya the Temba Shoja Karasayo Tanda Temba Jora or Tidan Tawas and Temba di never songores la dige and Kaduina and Temba di songores. The Dilagudasra.
As a translator, just to say right at the outset, the word we have as mindfulness also carries the meaning of memory or remembering, recollection. It's the same word in Tibetan, and that meaning is implied. So I'll be needing to use both of these words in English, mindfulness and memory or recollection. So just do bear in mind that it is the same word and covers both meanings. So now to come to what Geshe just said. In the close placement of mindfulness, let's look first then at what mindfulness means. Mindfulness means being able to recall something. For example, recalling what you had for breakfast this morning. So you can recall your breakfast. So therefore, that's an illustration of being mindful of what you had for breakfast. And then in terms of close placement, that would, in the context of the close placements of mindfulness, then close placement would mean at any time you can recall what you had, for example, for breakfast. That's what.
The Kaso the non-chu nani Tembanisha song the Chitan Ding Saboreshas, Ding Sabo, Benia. Lelhavu ton sometime J. Yungosares, Kanji Tembalaya Shayagi, and Yul Delia Kandachigores Laundi, and the Tembala song Wayagi, Yul de la Carriores Landi, and you Lu Rang Bena Ranglu Rangulus Lachonda, Lu Sorwa Sem Chu said. This Shishayores, Tembala Songoyagi, Temba never Shajugi, Yul de la Lu Sorwa Sem and choose.
The teaching in Buddhism on the 4 close placements of mindfulness is really a very profound teaching, and one can go into great depths through this practice. But to cover it in a way that's easy to understand, you can say mindfulness is a consciousness, and every consciousness has an object. In other words, something that one is conscious of, something one is thinking about. So the objects of mindfulness in this practice are fourfold, hence 4 close placements. The first is one's body, the second is one's feelings, the third is mind, and the fourth is phenomena, or literally dharma. That's all.
Here the Lu and Tembala Shagore is laundi. The Susu Lu temple ngalada susula lu yobajda suna tsorgro asra toma di temple shachi kadina ngal lu yo samsam roj anza sabzala ya lu yo de meki samloko disoraji temple shan drejik do asa di ani the lela shura da ngal lu yo samsam ro and di temple shayachi.
Of the first of the four, which is one's body. So here one is at all times mindful of one's body, or I'll use the synonyms, being aware of your body. You're always recording, holding in mind your body. So this is being mindful of your body.
Tadinepa rondige pena lula ya ani dulo khanggoya ani lula ro kala sagoya to samanglo ani temple shawandi pena dulo in tata khantuge khanyach ro susu lula gobi dulo tata nyogoya so the dindi mambuchi ko dinepa ching roya yosares ani pena kala sawandi pena kala tre mentregi ani nesu mambu yungora di susu lula trebi kala karimba mentrebi kala karimba di temple shawaina teni mentrebi kala dileondi tes kagdam chi thugu medros tayina ngando ina kagdam chi thugu medas roya
When one is being mindful of one's body, then one will also be mindful of perhaps you could say the processes of one's body. For example, that the body right now is covered in clothing. And when one is choosing what to put on or shopping for one's clothes, one can be aware of one's body that is in need of being protected or being covered. A second illustration would be when eating, being mindful of what one is eating. Is what one is eating nutritious or not, and being aware of this process. And of course, in the divisions of or the understanding of what's nutritious or not, there's lots of discussion, but that's not the point here. Being aware whilst one is eating and whilst one is eating and therefore sustaining the body. I know for me this is quite difficult to do, to be mindful of whilst eating, but this is part of this practice. That's all.
Yeah, nganzu kala di chua chejong dang kala ya chua chejong shim tone ane sa shodre mambu yung do zero ngoni chi susu lula ya yacha ya taman di chuk mare sambige chamba di yo ba na ane pendo yo sares pendo treden le pendo yo sares dinang shin gi pena chi chala do ji ya ke ya kya ya yin ba na pigi susu gi ta chi pimore ane lagbare karina nga jitsen dinji chenbo kya na ane pigi lula nugre sambige chamba ji yo ba na chamba de sem le yo ba na ane rangshin gi susu lu songge che tuyela ya pendo do asra.
Even on a very mundane level, there's benefits being mindful of one's body. Or yeah, we could also say like being aware of our body. So when one's being aware of the process of selecting one's meal and eating one's meal, being aware of one's body will add to our appreciation and value for it, and helping give us the discipline to not just be guided by what tastes good, but what is nutritious, what is healthy. And thereby, we'll be taking better care of our body. Moreover, when we engaging in physical activity, being mindful of our body, we're less likely to overexert ourselves, to push ourselves too far, but being aware of actually, I'm taking some strain now. I need to step back a little bit. So in this way, some benefit really can come on a very ordinary level from this practice. That's all.
Je gaji dinji ge ani lu trading tola song dang wai na ani lu chamba nye ja se ti ani de pe shuk chenbo yin sa res ro pigi ta tak ji chi am ji zan ro tak ji chi ani sik su su lu le ya cheba da mun cheba karim ba ani chi pe na chagri ki to ne 아니 가리여메 안델레야 응고 가르치고 여메 참로 아니 류 템바니샤게 토니 그 가서다 송접 제야지 땡데 용건도 왔어요. 먼저 남에로 샤니 아니 로샤와나 한지 트레이딩 토려야 아 경험하기도 왔어요.
I think this should be quite clear that if one is mindful of one's body, one will be aware of its subtleties and its changes, and therefore will want to safeguard it, protect it even more. So this being mindful of one's body will aid one's good health. And thereby, one will take greater care of what one eats, that one exercises, but not too much, and that one will seek advice and guidance from medical professionals and follow that, because one's body, now one is much more aware of it and sees its fragility, and valuing it more, one will want it to be to last long and be in good state. So from this, really great benefit will come. Lasso.
다yan dinipa pena chajir tangbayna ani lu do sosota ani kusimbu chin lele chin de chin ani lu gi sosu lu gi ta goni chin kambe pardo sosu lu chashi joras di tolochi samlos tangbayna ani sem di lu korang la fa manzu sem di sosu lu korang la fa ani
Dressena, because in dress color, you mean a there goes.
Dilebaina, Jasjada Manganzola, Pendoch, Yungusares, Ben Hulu Chaya, Pendoch.
And furthermore, one can sit quietly and do a body scan, going through one's body, making sure it's relaxed and at ease. So the process of mindfulness makes it very easy to do, to let go of tension within the body and keep the body relaxed and at ease. And whilst one's doing this, one will also, the whole process of mindfulness of the body will make very clear this entwined relationship between the body and the mind, how our mind impacts on our body. And therefore, by caring for our body, this too has an impact on our mind. So in this way, by taking care of our mental health, we take care of our physical health, and vice versa. By taking care of our physical health, this aids our mental health. Lasso.
Lugi, Luchardang, Luchardang, Pigita, Nonzo Yanlanga, the company Labaningo. And the summer, and the Lulatsu, dance lover. And also combat the Labali lost to Luigi over to the child in a that did someone to Ruru Chena Luchagor. There's someone told Moana Luyomar was the Kanji, and this Suji Chigchilla, Tendang, Condition Day Media, on the Samotana, sometime to Edge was the Ani di Nangitachi, ani Pagbadang, Shadang, ani Rugoda, and Dini Tsik, Dini Za, the Dinimang Bujara, the Tolaya, ani Soundan Devaina. Tigi Sem Nangi Namju Benangazugi, ani Desha said, or the Kondro said, Tagdo, Jensem, any young chick Carson, then Dongam Jera, the Anzel Chigo, the Ego, the Tachi, and Dangam the Samsung, Samlo, and Namdraki, some will read the any Kagures. The Kazu got to a teacher and it's so Hurlachagores, the Kanjiro.
Likewise, when sitting quietly, we look at what comprises our body. We start on the very coarse level, being aware of our head, that our body is this main torso plus a head and 2 arms and 2 legs. And it's not just that these are separate major body parts, then need to be combined and combined in the specific way that they are. So if we imagined these body parts scattered all over the show, we couldn't say that, oh, there's our body, because now it would just be one limb there and another limb over there. That's not our body. All these parts need to be gathered together in the right sequence for it to be called our body. So that's one reflection to also engage in. Another is to look beneath the surface, look at what's beneath our body. So, of course, mentally, we strip away the skin and we see this exposed flesh and blood, and we strip this away, layers of fat, layers of flesh, blood, veins, and all these organs inside, and inside that, the skeleton and the marrow within that, and as well as all the many liquids and fluids that are contained within the skin. And in this way, we come to see the body more clearly on a physical level as it really is. And this has great mental benefits in that we are now relating to our body in a more realistic way. And as we come to relate to our body more realistically, this will deal with our attachment and our anger and competitiveness and jealousy that we may well feel in relation to our body and the bodies of others. So as we think intelligently like this, coming to gain a more realistic view of our body, seeing our body in reality, then these afflicted minds, these minds which are contrary to reality, or arise because we associate qualities to our body which it does not have, or to bodies which they do not have. But now that we're seeing our body more realistically, these afflictions subside. And the result of these afflictions being subsided is far greater ease of mind, peace of mind. That's okay.
There's a do something ani lugi ji pakpadan shada ta rubatsa mayimba lug nangi tsa rodan korani somdan josares ra tsa toldu somdan di tsa ni peda ani chagdang the long juguslana kanda srogo mishi kanji dindi tone ani rodan di and dig tsawa di pigita ani nganzo ningirwa ning parshu tone ani tsalaya long the tag rowe digi ani dadaw dia ani pig level badun ro ani lezi tone tening nganzo sorwa kedan jorasro dedu sorwa yongdan bena su ninji wuji tombayna ani so chiglegi yobata su nin jibu mebaji tombayna ani sowa shembaji to sama di lutemba nija gombi tobgi ani semnala sharia chikrota ngoni ma ting sabujin gomtungi jimbana ani yungu yosaresti.
These meditations thus far have been quite basic and easy to do. And this is how we start the meditation, with easier parts. Now, when you become a little more skilled, watch your mind whilst you're going through this meditation. So be aware of what feelings arise within you as you observe your body. So you mentally imagine yourself without any clothes on, and then you start to strip away first the hair of the body, then the skin of the body, exposing your body beneath, and watch what happens in your mind. Strip it away further, down to the removing the fat, removing the flesh, and just watch what happens inside, and in your mental process, how you're relating to yourself. And watch and just look at how it appears, how your mind relates to seeing the organs, maybe the heart beating, observing the flow of blood through the veins, through the heart to the brain, and so forth. Watch this process In particular here, when I'm saying watch the process, whilst one is on one level observing your body in varying forms of being stripped down, but what one is really watching is how your mind changes. And then, for example, you can also call to mind a very attractive body or a body you find attractive and see how your mind responds. And then call to mind a body that you find quite repulsive and see how your mind responds. So what we're doing here is not merely just a visual game on our body, but we're really coming to know our thought process well and what stimulates us and why, coming to understand that well. That's okay.
콘즈디 자기한테 치듯이
Ale, 자기야 각성해.
가슴 벽이 샤사죠. 네가 샤라 지금다.
Konsolidanta soçuk yapki yarıpe.
그치 치듯이야.
Nge ngoma labiede konsul gosonge.
라.
Nge ngoma labiede konsul gosonge.
고스고스나 깨고. 저랑 깨고도
동기민도.
벽이간 우즈부도 동문다.
Ale, 직전에 파츠 기어서. 네, 삼능의 파츠 저기다.
네. 딘디제다 로. 드니양 류기 로. 니마 딱봐 류 톨아야 샘지 샤와나. 아니 류 교와디 로. 먼저 류 교와디 저단 교와 쇼지 로고라다 로. 교와 쇼지 로고야다 이네야. 먼저 디 통고요 말래. 통고요 말다 망통야디 직디 망통야디 가르스나 샘 디셔를 떼기매 반자 로 룰라파 쇼지기 딱지 지금매 반자 니마 야 룰라야 딱지 지금매 반자 루 교와든 통고요 말아왔어 마도 루 교와디 규바친 규비 랑신친 다 대기요로 왔어 안 진짜 룰라야 스타르제 시와나 루팅 규비 랑신친 받지 디 템바니와 시작 또기 통구요레스 통투고레스다 간지
Generally, how we live our lives is our mind is quite busy, moving from this to that, thinking about a variety of things, and we're not much mindful of our body. But through this process, especially if you are engaging in the mindfulness of your body, not just in meditation, but after meditation, as you go about your activities, you remain mindful of your body. By doing so at this level, you will become aware of how one's body does change throughout the day. Right now, because we don't observe our body, we're not mindful of our body, we have no idea that it is actually changing throughout the day. But the truth is, whether we observe our body or not, it changes. So by practicing the close placement of mindfulness, one becomes very aware of our body and its fluidity, its impermanence. That's all.
베나 신도졸라 신동도졸라 로레야 콘즐레야 박베간라 박박박베간라 박발레친 로 아니 신동 bom부차기도 왔어 대차고라서 다비기 딱지 징이지 세리버 딱지 징온디 신도 가주 로여메디 아니 조 비기 딱박박잡잡디 디통의 장가서 들고 왔어 찍래야
Similarly, when we look at a tree, we just see a tree. But those who are knowledgeable, the biologists who study trees well, they are able by stripping away the bark and looking within the tree, they can really tell the age of a tree, something that just from the outside we cannot know. That's all.
ngan rogbe pugro nganzu drogba tsuge simjin yora penata yagdang tadang ani phajula soba an digidi ta nyosong chegora pha tsongya tsu nyoya la soba chegora 제디게 gengo imedi ani pena yag ragola techini lo khaju ime tatugores pigila yo lo girwa lo gi ani radil ya takda rumo yores lo khaju droyame tagarangi lo ngan droyame chu droyame chonga droyame takda peni sigyap tugores.
For example, I have friends in Tibet who are nomads, and so they trade in horses and yaks and so forth. And those who are older and therefore more experienced, they can look at yaks, especially again also the older yaks, and tell the age of the yak just by looking at the horns, because the horns have particular marks or signs on them which indicate the age of the animal. So this is something that those with knowledge can come to see. That's all.
The dinashingi nganzu mi lulaya nganzu ta 통구요 말 madora 당선 다가랑 연구요사래스로 nganzu mi lu dinashingi lololaya gyondrochini nangi koechigleya nganzu nalogi ani tan chimba the lawyer longam trugnani bed changsanji jewyawdorsigdo 사바야 기용디 님바 파파 파도 조신 간지 지브ገብ을 쓰기도 하세요.
And something, because we're not so aware of our body, but it does happen, is that our body is constantly changing. And in fact, on a cellular level, every 5 or 6 or 7 years, our body changes completely. And in a sense, we do get a new body. That's all.
어딘서 두신 아니 때온디다 류교디 류거는 유위란신진 받지 통과했어. 류유위란신진 류유위란신진 반 통디게 간주 류교디 가서다 the nature 세도 컨서와 어디 임바디 통투거랬어. 그 유위 그런 거 란신 임바도 통온디 아니 다 디가 간줄라 가르팽그레세지 그러 딘 통투 바이나 간줄라에 펜도 가리어세지 지워지 용초거도 그러.
So we can observe the natural change of the body, and so this is something that we can see, the natural changing of the body. So what is the benefit of knowing this? That's all.
다 디 간줄 남규 교태 온디 아니 샘나라에 남자지 기기어로 왔어. 학돈 교식 첨부식 태와이나 디 먼저 당len치 당들렌 두고 말하다 남산 샘랑 남자지 게 마기버 차야지 연구여로 왔어. 디 먼저야 동을 퇴베지 그래도다. 그런
töpa sena? Dunga haka jung töpa?
퇴바스나 엑스트라.
Lakma drabo.
lakma drabo.
Ale töpa, ja, det.
네.
Det är gott.
Delicious.
The problem comes for us is that our body is changing constantly, but we aren't aware of this. We're not mindful of this. But when it has changed a lot, then all of a sudden, perhaps we become aware of this. And this makes us unhappy. It adds an extra burden to our suffering by suddenly being aware, I've aged, or my body has really changed. That's all.
그 랑신 반자 그 유드고요레스 베나 론론론디게 그 유드고레스 그 코랑 랑신레스 텐자 유드로야 텔야 아니 그 랑신자 먼저 텔야 동아치 고야 윤세요 말레스 첸 펜토스케요 말레스 로 어디게 야자자다 먼저래야 펜토직 셈나로래야 아니 간지 흘려 용약으로 샘리에 디기 용약이 펜도직 니니 연구였어요.
by being mindful of our body and seeing this process of change and recognizing that the cause of the change is just the very nature of the body. It naturally changes. It does not stay the same. It's not its nature to stay the same, but rather to change. So recognizing this and understanding the nature of the body, having a more a view of our body that's realistic or in accordance with reality, then we will not worry or become unhappy or upset when, as we notice our body changing, because we'll just know this is the natural process of things. This is how the body changes. And there is no benefit in being upset or unhappy at our body changing. But by being very aware that of this process as it slowly happens, and being aware that this is the natural process of things, we will accept it easily, and our mind will not become unhappy.
Terda pena jomden digi chuzul diang zu deshila jaksadi pigi ta rangshem nguyu netsul jora da ro neluk jile neluk le ya shishani ani neluk dan tumbigi samlo tangtang di jomden digi chuzul di dichagores ro dichagores.
In Buddha, in the teachings from Buddha Shakyamuni, he always guided students to come to think in accordance with reality, to turn them away from these misapprehensions of reality, of believing things to be in a way that they just are not. So this is a fundamental tenet of the Buddhist philosophy, of the Buddha's teachings. That's all.
Terda pigi gita gyuwi rangshendi gyuwa di ani tajida tenipan zhong digi tse tongbu ro cha zhogo da darwa gyuwa di kandashi zhogo gyuwi rangshendi kandashi cha waresla na ani sulayang madyo ba gyuwi rangshendi tuyo ning gyuwi rangshendi cha waresla na
Dini yang kya sungakam? So what?
xianla madyo ba gyuwi rangshendi ani tuyo ning gyuwi rangshendi cha wares lawa na tuyo ni ro gyujinjila ya tuyo ni gyu zhogo yobati tukunguyo shagwares tinza gyujin kanla tuyo ni kandasun gyugu yome tola yanganzu ani samtang namju ta mancha tangi yomaros ro di tangbayi na ani gyuwa dilaya susun gyuwa tang tuya chiki kansanu pigi gyuwi kien kari yinba di ani zeju che tu ondi kien kandaji gugu yome hakong di kien di susu ani so tuya da matu rik mambu yungo res ro tini so tuya ki kien du susu sujin ta dela so lesin dirando ta susu kan che tuya di che ning gyuwa tang yachi dile ondi kansam jila gyuwa di susu la ya ani gyuwa tang ya ki pina rawan yoba soro chiki da dinti chin songo dosra da kanji dinti chi sam tang ba na di ani gom res ro da gom yakshu chi deres ro
Through being mindful of our body, we'll come to see it in accordance with how it actually is. So through these meditations that I've already presented, and we'll understand that our body naturally changes, and we'll accept this. We'll also, though, a curiosity will arise. Why does it change? It can only change in one of two ways, either in a way that's independent, in other words, not influenced by any factors outside of it or other than it, or it changes dependently, which means independent on factors other than it. And the way our body changes is very much dependent on a variety of factors, in that one's change can be sped up or slowed down, not ceased, but slowed down. So this isn't something that interdependence is not something that one holds in mind all the time. But if we reflecting this way, it will start to become much more of how we relate to the world. And where there is such importance on reflecting on interdependence is, so for example, in relationship to our body. So recognize that the body naturally changes, but that change is influenced by a variety of factors. So it's dependent on a variety of factors. We ask ourselves, can I influence those factors? And of course, one can. There are many things we can do to influence how our body changes. Our body will continue to change, but we can influence that process of change. This is something within our capacity to do. And through meditation, we can come to recognize this process very well. And especially as we're developing our mind, this too has a great impact on how our body changes. So this is another important benefit of this meditation. That's all.
Teni the chik soare ro suzule sorwa kari yeme sorwa korang tolaya ani sem shani ani droina ro sorwa di sorwa jingo sares sorwa sosu sorwa de sosu sorwa chik yunguyo sares tige pe mazume pendo yungo res ro.
What we're looking at today is the 4 close placements of mindfulness. So we've briefly looked at the first, that of the body, now the second, that of feelings. So here, feelings, of course, mental. So here one is aware of your mental process, of the feelings that arise. And feelings arise continuously in relation to what our mind is engaging with.
Then is same sana the tempasana chikpadores ra. Susu kar chengi yomed ra. Those then susu kar chengi yomed tolaya sound tang by na. Ani susu sem the susu tonya chik ra. Diingor the karina chencho ra the kar chengi yome. Pena manzo desan dina degor the ya sem. Ani kasakala drosigira pena ani lomba shembala drosigire pena jantsukala drosigire sungana drosigire sagana drosigire pena ani sanjona drosigire kaina dro tusin ani sosu sem dichik tewa na ko yam sembu jingo sare.
The third close placement is in relation to our mind. So here, this close placement, one is being mindful of one's mind, being mindful of one's mental, of one's mind. So what's quite interesting is our body is right here. For all of us, it's either in the temple or you're at home, but our body is in this one place. But our mind is not together with our body in that one place. Our mind has probably traveled the whole world many times in the time that we've been together this morning. You may have gone to other countries. You may have gone in your mind, you've gone to the bathroom, or you've gone to the place of lunch. Your mind travels all over like this. So this, we really know how this process works.
That dini rota semdala ya chi teba na manzu da temu pi ta longni la teba na shingi temu dini da yo sares ja manda chengor da samzala ya chuche meji dinje samtangora da ro odu sik suzu semla ya suzu chik teba na ani dini shi ni sem khandach pi semlaya tangzin chi go me dang sem khandas yo tang go ye me ani kala kansam ji ani sem chemba nyesha ton yungu asares ro.
Yeah, when we watch our mind, the way to approach this is we're using one consciousness to be aware of our other consciousnesses. So you are actually like an audience member in a theater watching a film. So you have your mind, and you're observing it with another mind, observing observing it, being mindful of it, and just being very aware of your mind. Just like when you're watching and engaged in a film, With one consciousness, you're observing the others. That's
다들 tema 예적이 미고라야 추 생이죠라서. 더 추의 가르에서 간드샤고를 라바이나. 추디 랑기류 랑기 추와 랑기 셈요라. 더 디스 마임비에 아니 가리 여바이나야 추디는 디고레스. 추디는 리초그레스.
Kunde die 양켜성을 그냥 건다.
랑기류 랑기 추와 랑기 셈요라. 디스리 셴비
고소. 대마톡.
가리 여바이나야 니추레스.
The fourth in the four close placements of mindfulness. The first was body, the second was feeling, the third was mind. The fourth is phenomena. It's phenomena now here is everything else that exists other than body, feeling, and mind. Everything else that exists other than the three that we have covered. So this is this very broad catch-all basket.
다들다 주 템벌 샤운디다 당한 쪽이 지 가서 왔다 고대부로 시야바이나 난좀 미래왔어 라 미리 라디기 미 라디기 가르코고레 돈로 많이 받지 문도 많이 봐 냐도 딘 많이 봐아 미리스 라운디 믹세지 요라다 수수 믹세지 요라다 미임바디 수수 미임바디 샘라 샤바이나 아니 미 가르치투 그래 미 가르치고 그래 더수 상황 아니 디 톤을 쓸래야지 용초도 왔어라
Die Selbstprogrammation, also mi jenang, also nyamare, also bulmare, de gosong, den det samne.
아니 미인자 가르치투 그랬어 미
Okay.
믹스에 가르치투 그랬어 아니 좋아
As I mentioned, with phenomena includes everything that exists other than body, feeling, mind. So, for example, a person or being human. So a human, it's not a fish, it's not an insect. So what is a human? What is special about being a human? What is special that a human can engage in? That's all.
네 간주 개체무 인사래 그래서나 간주 미인장 아니 삼로 땅도 그래 미인자 개제시도 그래 미인자 지 셴발아파 달렌트도 그러다 로 베난 루 남길고네 달렌트도 그래 아니 치기고네 달렌트도 그래 간지 미인자 지 돈로다 만다베기 니버 여바치 로 소소 니버 믹스와 여바치 아니 미 삼비기 디토니 용구여레스 딘저 소소야 믹스가 니버지 여반 통바이나 아주 같으나 아니 지 심고고 말았어 아주 심바기에 전에 아니 다 당에다 각기 두고문든가 각기 용문든가 내는 초문도 삼성 그배 샘제다 남라기니 소소소 초라당댕이 딘 용거라서 두소라 땐데 팽기였어레스
It's important. There really can be some great benefit in thinking about what is unique, what is special about being a human. So we can recognize quite easily that we can talk. And not only can we talk, but we can exchange information, which we can do through speech, but we also do through our body movement or expression. And of course, we can think. We have this remarkable intelligence that really makes us stand out. So we have an incredible capacity as human beings. And this is really useful to think about because it's something that's shared amongst humans. Because all too easily, we can have a view about ourselves that is really very far from the reality, thinking I am not good enough. I am not worthy. And like this, one becomes very small, very little, believing oneself to exist in a way that just is not in accordance with reality. So thinking about the qualities of human beings, this can lift us up, help us to recognize the great capacity that we all share. That's all.
Tadini di yungura da nga samdang pe mambuyo da pe na nga amma jin ba na nga amma jin sambi ge semna yo ba na amma ge genji yora di rangshin ge le yungures amma imbi pawa jin ba na pawa jin samna and pawa di gen khari imba di susun gen khari imba di lengo ora darwa di nangshin ge penada nganzo lomba dina deguyanza nga lomba dina degu sambaina lomba di tim ki goyadi ko ranshin ki chagora da lomba dina dena lomba di tim ki gora ani nami jimbaina nami ngani nami sambaina nami imbige pigi taji 직 담직 지어라다 담직도 송고거라 진짜
Net die damsik sene kenne, because in ngak lang, also damsik segere. Net die damsik sene?
남이 찍찍이에 뛴 거야게 제와 지어라 사상 진바는 사상 찍찍이에 뛴 거야 제와 지은 거라 군이 바른 제와 지은 거라 될 담직 세워다 수자리야
Kosong. Allez, Sas.
yes.
Here one thinks about what it means to be a human being, and then one brings it to oneself, what one's own special role is. So here you can think of various characteristics about yourself. You may be a mother. So this is a special characteristic or quality that you have. And with this comes a number of responsibilities. Or you may be a father, and with that, there are a number of responsibilities. Certainly, we'll all be citizens of this country. And therefore, we know that we need to live in accordance with the rules of the land, as well as the modes of conduct of society, the society that we are part of. And then on a smaller level, we are mostly members of a family. So with our family, we have a special connection with them, special responsibility towards them. So these are all qualities that as human beings we have. That's all.
당한수 benna da gegin imbaina na gegin in samna gegin gi chawadi gegin gendi ranshin gi tengoya chagadara nga chawaji in samna chabi gi bi jensam jora ting nibor
chensam
cheba jora chabi gi tim jora chabi tim ki goya ani sumaji in samna sumi gi tim ki goya 다가란 레고르스 딘자 디니아 레온디 나 남바지 인삼나 남바지 인바이나 다 메기 주분 거 추좀 지당 송고도 왔어라 당가 남바지 인자 아니 메기 주분 추좀 송 마선은 지금 말이 삼바 디니아 레온디 기타 게촌롱 그 domba 레용이 짐바나 수수규레 예비 게촌롱 그 domba디 네버도 아니 템발에 냐고야지 근데 잔주쌤이 돈벌 내용이지만 잔주쌤이 돈벌이 네버도 템벌에 송거야지. 다 잔주쌤이 돈벌이 템벌에 이어봐 있나? 다 가도 있나야? 아니 지 내가 가리인 바 있나야? 셴라 마펜나야? 만나봐 진 만드나? 수수주주 돈벌이 트롤한 거라스라. 어두신 나 간지 템벌 예샤세야 아니 추구 통신나 계정부 수수 메시지 로단 통신나 계정부 아니 인디기 캡처부 인사를
Furthermore, in my case, I am a teacher. So as a teacher, I have certain responsibilities to fulfill. Myself and others here, we are ordained. So being ordained, we have certain responsibilities, a particular monastic code to live in accordance with. All of us probably are Buddhists. Therefore, as Buddhists, we know that there's certain forms of behavior we should live by and certain that we should abandon. For example, we should abandon the 10 non-virtues. We should all practice at the very least, the ethical restraint of abandoning the 10 non-virtues. So in this way, when you look at yourself, you see the characteristics or qualities of being a human being, then you look at your own particular circumstance. See that I'm, for example, a parent, a citizen, perhaps ordained. And with these come certain responsibilities, certain modes of conduct that one needs to live in accordance with. And this then we need to be mindful of whether our speech and our behavior and our way of thinking is in accordance with our role in society, whether it's the broad society or the smaller society of the family that we live with or our workplace. And this way, being mindful of our behavior will ensure that we live in harmonious ways with others and beneficial ways. Lasso.
어머나 부르면은 보물이다. 망치야 들이다. 대인상가 부지 있었나? 부지 라운디 콜라 아마지가 바지 된 거다라. 소 들으셨다. 부주스 라운디 아니 마지가 바된 거라다. 진짜 아니 마디 니 아마 레삼비 로직 고다다. 니 아마 레스 라운디게 다바 samdambayna ama khandas chawres ro dawa gurinlaya mantala dawa gurinlaya ane thogonalaya pe sabs chechin cham chechin ane keyobati the tamboni thengo ejre dasra ni ama res lavdi ta tambon dindi thengo wasres ti tambon dindi chayo roda 담보 칸다스 아마 칸다스 차스디 저거나로야 다와 구링려야 아 베디 아니 클래스 이제 마이너 서브젝트세 콤바잡다야나 비 저거나게 보들에 삼다 두신다 다와 구링은 드로여라스라 데 담보 그런 아마 디기 소소려야 같은 딘디 담보 딘디 치어 데 담보니 쟁고 와서레스 몽이 아마리 삼비 로지나 담보니
Amongst all of us, we have our own varying particular circumstances, but what we all have in common, whether male or female, is we are brought into this world by our mother. So we all have a mother. She may or may not still be present with us, but we all came into this world from a mother. So we can recall her and ask ourselves, so she is called my mother. Why so? Well, for about 9 months, she carried us around within her body, took great care of us, had a tender attitude towards us, very mindful of our continuous presence within her body, very mindful that this new beloved being had entered into this world and for now was residing within her. And thereby she took great care in her physical movement, in what she could and should not do, and what she could eat and could drink and should not eat and should not drink. And she did so with a genuine care and responsibility for us. So this is something to recall, to be mindful of. That's all.
디 samlo 디 nganzu soja yuke marawas nguyo nezu chongyoras 디 yobaina ta ani parlaya ani chi pamadang thomba yongsigri menthomba yongsigri kaukaleya sosungni ani nongchu shorsigri kaukaleya phamengene nongchu shorsigri tikon ani mitsamala yonguyores 이내에 농축 디균센도 체네 but shows pig danaji charres dos di ka 까그레스 가나 간섬지 까그레스로 오늘가 다고 구르는 양아 tin지 잠경 칭이지 레 삼비 로지야나 디까그레스 디까와이나 간지 소수 셈바디 기부차그레스로 비기 아마델이야 잠경치 마트고 있나야 소수 셈나라야 지 머가비 나살레데저로 디 야지야다만 용도 그레스
This is a situation for all beings. This is really all human beings. This really is the case. This is how it is. And moreover, what is also very common, and it's just again how it is that our parents at times are loving and close and support each other well, and at other times they may have conflict, and this conflict may be quite intense. And likewise, our parents may be towards us very loving and warm. Now, other times they may be frustrated and annoyed with us, sometimes for good reason, sometimes not. This is common, it happens, and that's okay. But what we really, really need to keep in mind is this tremendous care and kindness that our mothers in particular have shown us. To be aware of how she put our needs first and foremost, in particular when we're vulnerable in her body, and when we're newly born, so the first years when we're so vulnerable, and beyond that. And therefore being aware of how she really cared for us. And we have therefore a special responsibility back to her. We should therefore never allow any disagreements that we have, whether we are in the right or not. We should never allow any disagreements to allow our relationship with her to be harmed, in particular where a relationship can be severed, or where you call her to mind and you have a negative view. That we should not allow to happen. And we prevent this from happening by remembering our responsibility towards her because of the incomparable kindness she showed us. That's all.
제 간지 먼저 아마 생이들이 얌센부시오치로 안성이야 당원은 배 얌센부 배 가든 첨부 다 간지 잠블인디 나로라야 아니 수수라야 아마 딜 하가지 가든 진지 요마레스 들어 요마레스 배는 아주 친중 걸어야 비게 아미 코반은 막 끼마 타도 먼저 판자사로디 아마레도 하스라 아마가 투바이나 아니 그 게제시에 싱그 요마르 초 믹스에 요마레 카키 요마르다이나 아마 투바이나 란싱글레 샤로야지 부춘준들레 디 연구요라스 다가란기 토모 마인비 믹스에 비 아미토니 아니 잠지지 요바디 디된 거레스 디된 투고도 하스라 아미 트레 요바이나 아니 난조야 차롱체 투야 아미 잠종 요바이나 믹스에 차롱 야고 연구 요바 디 숙한기 독도 메와치 교탄에 메와치 나기마 직투스라 콘주 다바 투근 아미 코발에 부구드 다바 투그 참니 부구디 말랭규 케도 참선 나차기도 레니 암지기 지다 민주 야부여 비 셰구나 샤로그나 샤도 이나야 니마 딱봐 아니 추츠 가시 출레니 아미 샤 줄이야 자르고도 믹스 디 자르고도 건지 디페마스 케치 못 쓰기도
I really encourage you to think about the kindness that your mother in this life has shown you. And when you think about really in detail of what she has done for you and meant to you, especially in those early years, but really throughout your life, you'll see that there is no one comparable to her. There's no one who's shown such kindness and care that can be compared to our mother. And something that we see that is quite remarkable is that with newborns, just hearing the mother's voice or seeing the mother, the little child light up because the child knows that they are safe, that they are being cared for. Just from seeing the mother, hearing the mother's voice. You can imagine then that little infant is feeling warmth and closeness because it knows it's safe and protected. And this really is the case, and it doesn't change or vary. This is everywhere. And in fact, I know someone whose child, due to medical reasons, had to be born prematurely. And so it was kept in, the translator doesn't know these words. I don't know if it's an incubator or something where the premature babies are kept. And even then, the mother was encouraged to approach her child, be with her child, because it would aid the child in its growth and its healing. So this really shows the remarkable connection between a child and their mother. Lasso.
Teza nganzo amigi tomomayi bi keju amigi kadin ro temba ina ta namasanji bi chegu toni sheba ina ta kecheju dichagdos kecheju dita namasanji bi chele ya teba cheju ni shewa dinang teba chimi cheta bigita 다 최연하면은 돈 시험인지 아메리카든 챙고야 된다. 아메리카든 챙고야 돼. 아메리카든 친구 매션도 챙고를 쓰려고. 뭐였어? 아메 간다스 아니 비길이야 잠정 치여메 디 서버나 아니 손음 라보치 생이 될 되는사 그래스. 다 제단 더블다 다 딘디 요 말다 변의 샵된 칭인도 어디지 요 말이 있느냐 계지 샵된 시공이 진바이나 아메리카든 챔바이나 샵된 약슈디 로 소수 비기다 아메 코바나야 다오 굿데바니 체니 아메 코바나 차바니 체니 안 단다바도 소소칸 디르나야 오늘 아메 잠정 강체바디 삼라 약보 텐션이 아니 상물지 담바이나 수수 내 망부지 될 때는 세로요 봐. 발체 망부지 될 때는 세로요 봐. 아니 소이나 될 때는 싸로요 봐. 야샤야다마 차고 살았지.
Within the teachings of the Buddha, recalling the kindness of one's mother is a point that is often emphasized. It really is of great importance. So I encourage you to recall, be mindful of the kindness of your mother of this life. There really is tremendous benefit in reflecting on what she has done for you. You reflect on when you're born into this world, so you're conceived and you're born into her body, how you're entirely vulnerable and dependent on her caring for you. And she did. And when you were born, she continued to care for you when you had no means to protect yourself. And whenever there was even the concept of danger, the possibility of danger coming your way, she would have protected you. And for so many years, put your needs well ahead of hers. And that throughout much of this period, if that mother's love and care had not been there, it would have been impossible to survive. And this mothers did with very little thanks, but with a lot of love. And this really is something for us to be aware of, to be mindful of. That's all.
There's the church Tembanesia Yakshu, the American the Karjan Yobati, Tisuzu Tembalea Shachinera, Nimatapa Tembaina, Amayanandra Menandra, Dula Yume Kavasaki Mandosti, Be Mazavayako. The Tambu do Sheba Nara Lokashi Jingilaya, Nigi. Ngara ame party patum search ni ngara desa sha na la diwa imba tanagi du stawni ngateni soni chi Kambadi Nanglo la ya chik, and it is chik. Nima the Mandre, Pak Trovu chik.
Die kommer så nima
Nima the Mandre, Kambadi and this Kibudoch, Sorsons. The Kainsana Nimang on the Chinjung Galera, Nalta Lo Chuk Chik Chungni Chok some chief shitavala, then drop by in the Simjin Soga the Rigala. Shoki drone Gonda Chutanga Truba, the Nang Lego, the Simjin Yam the Drogora. Tak Power Chidan Chilola Mamudran Samsung Gonda Sumale in Mambu Yungora. Gonda Maledi Power Menaya, Shushu Soas Shuyo Marta. Ama maybe Numo de la Nang Betombarosh. Nang and Zura, Ama Medici Nang the Chick Casa Chick Sornalaya Chick Chancy Dodge.
drunk Sisi.
Kibu make your dodge. Chick or Dindi Sorguyas the
I'd really encourage you in mindfulness practice to be mindful of the kindness of your mother, to include this in your daily meditation. And this is important to do whether you are with your mother or not, whether she is still in this world or not, to recall the tremendous kindness that you have received from her. So a few years ago, I saw a picture of my mum, and this brought back many memories. She was in the photo. She was in a house different from what I grew up in, but I recall that when I was young, probably during the ages of about 10 to 13, every day I'd need to be out in the surrounding mountains, looking after our flocks, because we were a nomadic family, and I would need to look after our flocks or herds. And but I'd know that when I'd come home in the evening, my mother would be there. And this always brought great warmth and joy to my heart. My father couldn't always be there. Sometimes he'd need to be away for work, but my mother would always be there. And she would actually need to spend a lot of her day alone. But I knew, because the kids would be out working and the husband away, but I knew that that when I got home, she would be there with warmth and tenderness. That's all.
Power to the cutting Chimbur Dasra. And I power to the test Nangaki which in Degrasra. Amadela Pugachi. Cutting Chango Chimbur Dasra.
I've spoken a lot about the mother. It is true the father showed tremendous kindness too, but we tend to emphasize the mother. Perhaps maybe because the father sometimes plays more of a disciplining role, but jokes aside, one can also and should engage in this reflection on the kindness of one's father.
That this chick Tempanyesha Tony. Rather answer Tempanyesha things over the drummer in there. Kanji Tempanyesha capture rotic, Karime, Hajkova in the Raya, this Pentora.
So now, time together this morning, we've spoken about the 4 close placements of mindfulness. We haven't been able to go into it with any depth. It's just been an overview, but at a level that everyone can include in their meditation. So I do believe there was quite some benefit from our time together. Do you have some questions?
Thank you.
Oyakin.
Final Amrim dedication. For my 2 types of merits vasa space that I have amassed from working with effort at this practice for a grand length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds' wisdom eye is blinded by ignorance. Even if I do not reach this state, may I be held in your loving compassion for all lives, Manjushri. May I find the best of complete graded paths of the teachings, and may I please all Buddhas by my practice. Using skillful means drawn by the strong force of compassion, may I clear the darkness from the minds of all beings with the points of the path that I have discerned them. May I uphold the Buddha's teachings for a very long time, with my heart going out with great compassion, in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread or once spread have declined. May I reveal this treasure of happiness and aid. May the minds of those who wish for liberation be grounded boundless peace, and the Buddha's deeds be nourished for a long time, by even this graded path to enlightenment completed, due to the wondrous virtuous conduct of the Buddhas and their sons. May all human and non-human beings who eliminate adversity and create conducive conditions for practicing the excellent path never be parted in any of their lives from the purest path praised by the Buddhas. Whenever someone makes effort to act in accordance with the tenfold Mahayana virtues practices, may we always be assisted by the mighty ones, and may oceans of prosperity spread everywhere. Thank you.